cloud. Wonderful. All right, so this is whatever it is, week 3, I guess. Yeah, week 3, import-export improvements, week 3. I'll give you a quick overview of the kind of the obvious work this week, and then we'll hand over to people who want to share something about some of the work that they've been doing. So we've had nothing else closed this week, but we have had 2 new pull requests. One from myself to do with fixing a memory error in the customer import. I am not 100% sure if this is the best way of doing it, so I'd be more than happy if a few people could have a look and see what they say. So this one is open for review. Yeah, fixing memory issues in customer import. It also, I found the same problem with customer options, I believe. So if we think this is the way to go, then we might find that we can also get a memory or a performance improvement with customer options and one other part of the product import by doing the same thing. Basically, Magento was working with an iterator, and this iterator was creating a full customer object for each customer or each result, when all it needed was the ID and the email. So, hi, Umar. Hi. Yeah, so as I was saying, this pull request is available. Feel free to have a look at it. If you don't understand, just ask me a question and I will do my best to answer it. And like I said, I'm happy to see how this progresses, and I'd more than happily get people's feedback as to whether they think this is a good idea or what. The second issue was unable to use the filter data for multi-select on export. This guy's name is Marcel, I think. I think that's how you pronounce it. He works at ECG at Magento, but wants to get involved with the community side as well. So he's provided us with this pull request, which basically fixes some problems there were with multi-selects. Again, open for a pull request. So if you feel like, oh, I want to do a review as well as some coding, then please feel free to jump on any of the pull requests that are open. Great. With that in mind, I would then hand over to Federico, and he can give us an update on your ticket. Okay?
Sure. Okay, so I'm still pending to update the ticket description. Sorry about that. I will try to do that today because the current description doesn't properly reflect what's happening now. So from our previous discussion, we said that we should have the same behavior from the import process and the admin panel when you create a product. If you are trying to create a product with some SKU that is already in the database, both processes should throw an error. So I started working on the admin panel. Can I show my screen?
You should be able to.
I think you need to allow me, yeah. Okay. So what I figured out is that from the admin section, what is the part that is adding the /1/2, that's / some sequence number, is the SKU backend object, the one that handles the behavior of the attribute. So what happened is whenever you go to save a product, there is an event triggered, the before save, that will end up here in this SKU class. And the before save of the SKU backend class will call this generate unique SKU, which will look for current SKUs in the system and will append this slash and sequence that is not used in the system. So my idea was to change the validation method for this backend class. So I added this piece of code here, which checks if already exists an SKU in the database that we are trying to save. It will send an exception with a message saying the SKU is already in use. We of course can discuss what's the proper message. So by changing this, this call in the before save is not needed anymore. So I guess we will need to remove this. If you agree with this approach. So what this allows us is, for example, I have this issue 37 SKU already in the system. I will add a product. Test issue 37. So now this validation method is invoked, and this will execute this piece of code, and will inform the customer that the SKU is already in use. I already tested the case when you are editing a product. This validation already takes care of not having into account the SKU of the entity that you are trying to edit. So this validation will not break the ability to edit the product. And then the next step is what happens with the leading and trailing spaces. There is a comment here from Peter, who says that in his opinion, a leading or a trailing space should be acceptable. I agree with that opinion because, and the argument is, maybe the customer doesn't have the ability to control the SKUs. When in systems where you connect Magento to an ERP, the customer is not always in control of how the SKU is built. So let's say in some case, I don't know for what reason, but maybe you have, there is the possibility that you can have an SKU with a leading or a trailing space. So in my opinion, we should accept those as valid SKUs. So in that regard, the import process already allows you to create products with leading and trailing spaces, no matter, for example, if you have like this issue 37, if you provide a CSV with a trailing space, with the same SKU but with a trailing space, the import process will create a new product. And if you all agree with the argument of allowing trailing spaces, then that would be the correct behavior. So the issue, Yeah.
Can I say something about this? So
Of course.
I agree with you that the client doesn't have a control on this SKU, so it might be needed for spaces. But at the same time, if it's done manually or someone put the spaces incorrectly, which for me, I saw it happen like way too many times, it will create a new product and maybe create unexpected results, and the space you don't see it, so it's really difficult to debug this kind of situation.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So we should waive between one and the other.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're correct. Yes, so it's a matter of, I think, balancing what's more important. I guess that's open to discussion for this group, I think. So let's say we go for allowing trailing spaces. What I investigated also is that there is a constraint in the admin that doesn't allow leading or trailing spaces, which we will need to here. In the check attribute unique value, this is for the EIB model entity, abstract entity. When there is when Magento tries to do the comparison in the database, trying to figure out if the value that you're passing is unique or not, there is this trim function which makes the admin not allowing you to send an issue 37 with spaces, for example. So that is something that we will need to work on if we go for that path.
Question,
okay.
how was in Magento 1? I don't know, honestly, how it was, if it was acceptable or not.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because
yeah, that would be interesting to know if it's changed.
I would follow that, meaning that if they didn't accept it before for 10 years, it went fine, maybe. Otherwise, I would follow the same logic. Since it's not, we don't want to add new feature, we are just trying to make things work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I will stop sharing. That's where I got. So we have, I think, the discussion of allowing or not leading and trailing spaces. And then I need to give more testing to the import process on what happens, for example, when you have in the same CSV a repeated SKU. I'm not sure what's the behavior right now.
Currently, it'll tell you that the SKU's repeated, and it will tell you which rows. I had the same. I was testing the import, I was testing it to oh no, that was customer. Sorry, ignore me. That was customer with emails.
But I think he is right. That would give a duplicate. He would say duplicate rows or something like that.
Okay.
Duplicate key.
Cool.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that's if that's intended behavior, then that should be it, because the import process is allowing you at this moment to add SKUs with leading and trailing spaces. So I guess the next step would be to get to a conclusion of what to do with leading and trailing spaces and make the admin and the import process to have the same behavior in regards of that.
Cool. Great. I would recommend if you have a recommendation for what we should do with regards to the trailing spaces and also the general SKU processing and everything, if you could get in contact with Piotr Kaminski. He's the product owner for this project. So I think if there is anything with regards to like changing features that currently exist or processes that currently exist, I would just double check with him and say, this is what it's like now. This is what we would suggest changing. Is this okay? Either you can contact him or you can send me the information and I can check with him as well. I'm okay with that. But I think, I think keeping it so, personally, I would say keeping the admin so it will do the trim, because that will kind of help with a bit of human error, so to say. Whereas with the import, the chances are that CSV will be generated by something already, so we should trust it. It feels a little odd having it do one thing in one case and one thing in another case, but I think that's okay. But I'm open to suggestions if someone has a better idea or has any idea.
Yeah, in my opinion, it could be a bit confusing to allow a different pattern from the admin than from the import process, because in that way you would be allowing to create a product with trailing spaces via the import and not the admin. So
not only you'd have a problem once you edit that, if you import it with spaces because you trusted it, and when you go in the admin to change that product and save it, you have an issue.
Right, and that's one of the issues reported in currently in the ticket. So
okay, so then so then if we try and make the two processes consistent as possible, then I think we're going down the right route here then. But just put together a plan, so to say, or what your recommendations would be, and then you can send them to Piotr. You can include me as well if you would like, or you can include the whole group if you would like. I don't mind how you do it, but just check with him with regards to that sort of change. That'd be great.
Okay, sure.
All right, man. Cool. Thank you very much for Federico. I guess you have to go now, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you for sharing, and I look forward to seeing the update.
Sure.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. So, who would like to go next?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. If you want, might need chance to investigate further. So, if you want to just go fast, we can do mine.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go for yours then.
So, 1 second. I should share it. So mine, it was a problem with, for example, with the visibility issue in importing, because it's translated based on the admin local language, but it doesn't work for the import if it's in a different language. I didn't investigate enough, so I want to dedicate a bit more time, but only thing I looked at is how Magento treats this kind of situation for other similar attributes. And one that I was thinking is the product type. The product type also has this similar situation of visibility, and in that case, it has doesn't translate the result. It has just product. Wait, I'll open it. It has just simple or configurable or downloadable, and it's not translated, and that way works. So my suggestion is either we follow this example and use a string that it's always the same, either use an integer value that tell the client how to map it, or I can try to investigate more to understand how to deal with the translation.
Okay. Okay.
I know your suggestion was to find a way for the translation, because you said you want the user to be able to use the import without a manual, essentially. But if you look at our, like even the associated SKUs or the attributes are configurable as data, and it's already, you have to understand how it works and put things that are not humanly intuitive to work with. So I think if they do the work for those attributes, we could expect they do the same for visibility.
Okay. Would it make sense to treat the Magento attributes such as visibility and product type and everything being in English or not translated, let's say, and then and then any other attribute just as it is at the moment, which would be
so have like a translatable or not version.
Yeah, I don't know if that's whether we have something specific saying translatable or whether we just I think it's still like is user defined on attributes, right? Like product type.
I don't know.
Okay. No, I was just thinking if there's a way of understanding whether attributes are Magento ones such as product type, or like how does product type differentiate from a normal attribute at the moment? Like,
it's quite a specific case because it creates models based on what's that value. And if it creates a class. If you put simple, he will create the simple model of that attribute. And from that on, he will use certain methods and so on. So it's like that would be really difficult, I think, to change, or at least for my comprehension of that part of the code.
Okay. My gut feeling here is to get it working where it's not translated.
Okay.
And then if we want to reconsider it later on, then maybe we could, because at the moment it doesn't work. Let's put it that way. So maybe the first step is making it work
in English, and then
and then making consideration as to whether we want to take it further after that. Okay. What does everyone else think?
I didn't follow the complete discussion, so I don't really know what's about we are talking, so I don't have an opinion right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Is it about the visibility status?
Yeah. So basically at the moment, whether we treat it like product type, which is product type is always in English, or the
simple configurable group.
Exactly. Whether we treat attributes like that, or whether we try and work on translating them, or whether we change them to use the value of the attribute. My feeling is starting with the smaller step, which I think would be making it work in English, or the default.
Yes.
So it's always using the default, and then after that we can dive a bit deeper if desired.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's the best way to start. Yes. And another opinion will be to use the integer, like 1, 2, 3, 4, from visibility.
Yeah. My problem with that is then there's another lookup. But then I guess, what I would recommend doing is getting it working. Yeah, get it work with the default just now. Maybe after it's working with the default, we can show it to Piotr, show him Piotr Kamiński, show him the good side and the bad side of it, and say, okay, how does this fit with Magento's vision behind it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Are we only talking about the visibility attribute right now?
No, I think it is the same for any select or multi-select attribute. So you'd have visibility, country of manufacturer, and also you would have custom attributes as well. You'd have the same problem with custom attributes.
The one that are translated so far.
Yeah. Basically, anything with a translation has this problem.
Yes. But Will it still be possible to import translated attribute options? If you are using the English one, it should be, I think we should create a case when we have multiple stores with different languages. So we can import one in Dutch, one in English, one in German. And if you have multiple attributes in a drop-down, you will always use the admin store value.
Yeah, that's the basic idea behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, but it should be possible to use the admin value, but it should also be possible to update the admin value with the new language. So if you have, yeah, it's difficult to explain with.
I think you're losing a bit the focus, because the import of product doesn't deal with import of attributes. So
No,
it's not that
no.
the moment when you insert the translation.
Yes, yes, you have to create a custom import to create attribute values.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yes.
It's
So
not
we are
part of
always
the
using the
import.
admin store value.
Unfortunately, if you don't have an attribute, it doesn't get imported, that part.
Yes.
So
That's
we would
something else that
expect.
we have on our own list.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for now, as long as currently you can't import new values,
Yes.
I think we need to, are you sure, or should we double check that?
I
sure.
don't know that.
Okay, I would, okay. Maybe, Andrew, while you're looking at it, if you could just double check, and if it is not possible to add new values, then using the admin value is completely fine here.
Okay, it's good, very good idea. That
Yeah.
I can agree.
Okay,
Good. I'll write it
fabulous.
down. Thank you.
All right.
What do we do about lowercase and uppercase? Is it case sensitive?
The values, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that's also something to check as well.
Because the attribute values right now are not case sensitive.
Interesting. I didn't know. Good.
So you can create two values, I think, red with small, lowercase, and red with uppercase. I'll check that. Give me 1 minute. Go to an attribute. Manufacturer. If I create red and red. So yes, you can create red with lowercase, and you can create red with uppercase.
Okay. I would suggest that as long as this change means it means that it matches the right casing.
Yes, it should be case sensitive.
Yeah, then we're okay with this.
Yes. So that means that catalog search should be catalog with the first character in uppercase, comma, a space, search also with uppercase, first char.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right. So then I guess Umar, if you're next.
Yeah, I am on only left person. Okay. So I just worked for the issue number 50. There was some problem while importing the same name images from different folders. Let me share my screen with you. One second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, if we go to the issue number 50, we can see that there were certain things like, let me show you. Okay, so let's say we have to import certain products which are in different folders, and the products images name have same name. Like in folder A, it has a.jpg, and in B, it's also having a.jpg. While importing these images, I fixed the issue, but I recommended something to David yesterday. I want to talk to you also about that. My recommendation was that shouldn't we think that if the images are imported from certain folders from some other directory, like ABC, and the images names are A, B, or C, something else, shouldn't they come into Magento with the same path as they were before? Like in this case, we have folder B and it is a.jpg. And when I import these becomes like this. Do you guys got my point? Like it's a_1, a_2, sorry. So these three are coming from different folders, but when it comes to Magento, the folder names are like the prefix of the image's name. And I know that the Magento default behavior is like this, but my recommendation was to keep the same flow like it was before importing. What do you suggest?
This would be a really big change if you decide to do this. It would have a big impact because a lot of importers, like, they know the default Magento behavior and they are built with that hypothesis. And I can say from my own experience, I did several that I have to take account that Magento deals with naming in that way.
Okay, so I defend my point with the reason that it only happens in case of importing a bulk products. Can we do this while importing the bulk products? Like we are importing 1,000 products, and in Magento, if a person had some store in somewhere else and he prepared a CSV with his product images, and he had to see the previous images in new Magento system. So it will be easy for him to traverse through the same hierarchy as he was using before. It will not impact other import behavior, but I know it's odd as this was not previously being used in default Magento behavior. So this scenario only occurs while importing bulk products.
So if you, let me get this right. So if you imported the same product images, like with the A, B, and C folders, but for a single product, after the import, they would still have the A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Right. But if you do it with like one with AA, one product with BA, and one product with CA, then you end up in this case. Is that correct?
Yeah. In that case, what I plan that let's say the hierarchy is like folder A and then folder B and then image A, let's say. Okay. So when it will be imported to Magento, if we talk about the current case, it will be A or A_1 or A_2. Okay. So if we do something like we embed the folder names with images name like A, B, and A, then it will be importing to Magento in the same hierarchy, like folder A, folder B, and then A, according to the you can say splitting mechanism of Magento.
Okay. What I think I would like to do is I'd like to see what happens in each case. So when you're importing one product with multiple images, multiple products and multiple images. As long as they're all consistently behaving in the same way, I think that's okay. My concern is if when you're importing multiple products, you get a different behavior from single products. Then I think we have a problem. But if each type of import works in the same way, then I'm okay with that. I think I'm a little confused as to in what cases we get into what states.
Okay, I'll just test it by myself, and you can do it too.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, I fixed the issue number 50 according to the Magento's behavior. And if we want to go with the default Magento behavior, then I can place a pull request right now. Else we can just deeply go to my session, and then I can change the code, and then I'll make a pull request.
Let me test let me test this now, and I'll get back to you about it and say whether we go with the first fix, so that we make it work as expected, or whether we go with your change of ideas. How does that sound?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, cool. What I'll do is I'll test that. I'll probably test that later on this afternoon, if that's okay. So, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Is there anything else that people would like to raise at the moment? I think that was.
I did a request to gather a meeting about the empty value.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any response from, you answered, David, but the other one didn't answer.
Okay.
So do we decide or do we wait?
I would like to get them involved. So I will do my best to, let me just make a note of it, and I'll push them back today and see if I can get some feedback. Okay. Hopefully we can get a meeting early next week with everyone.
Yeah, it's possible for me. I have time.
Okay, cool. Well, let me push that and see how far I can get with it.
Okay.
All right. Other than that, anything else from anyone? Otherwise, I think we're pretty much done. I think we've had some good progress, and I think, like I said, you missed it before. For anyone that missed it, we already have a couple of pull requests. One from myself and one from PHP, what's his username? PHP for you Magento. So feel free to have a look at either of those pull requests and drop on some feedback if you're interested in giving some feedback. Otherwise, we will process them next week would be the plan.
Okay, very good, very good.
Cool. All right, everyone. Then, like I said, I'll get back to you, Umar, about the testing, and Peter, I'll try and push for that meeting. Otherwise, reach out if you need anything. And thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, one last thing, David. You just need to concatenate the folder names with the image's name, and then you can call the function with new file name in this way, right?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, man. Cool. I'll test that and see what I can see what I feel is the better option. But yeah, thanks for the investigation.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.